What kind of filthy, sinful world have I awakened to? Van Winkle opens fire. Boom! Boom! Oh, okay, that's enough for today. Stop when you're hot.
Get your hopes up. Get your hopes up. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. Get your hopes up. Get your hopes up. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome.
Okay, so I'm not sure how I feel about Nerdland. On one hand, I think this movie's just okay. The animation's pretty decent and it's funny at times. The thing that keeps me from recommending this movie completely is that it just did what it needed to be good, but never enough for me to love it. This film was brought to us by the people at Titmouse, you know, the guys who brought us Megas XLR, Motor City, and the Black Dynamite animated series, among other things. Chris P is the director of this film, and he has done a lot of things that I loved, including Motor City. On the surface, this is the type of movie that I would really love. Very dark humor with characters who are trying to break into the film industry, including someone who's a writer who has trouble getting anything done, which is a problem I face all too often, if you haven't noticed by my upload schedule. On first viewing, I was actually surprised this was animated at all. Aside from a few gags, the movie could have easily been live action. After listening to the director commentaries that's available on Titmouse's YouTube page, director Chris P said that the script was originally written with a live action movie in mind, and they planned to get director David Fincher to make the movie. Those plans fell short and the movie ended up being animated. There's actually a small reference to this original idea by having the movie pay homage to one of David Fincher's films, that movie being Seven.
You're looking for me.
Personally, I would have been interested to see what a David Fincher version of Nerdland would look like, but on second viewing, I'm glad with what we got. After all, Chris P is a very competent director, and he does give a lot of artistic flair to the movie. Titmouse really did an amazing job with a relatively small budget, especially with the backgrounds. Every frame in this movie is just filled with so much side gags and jokes. Every time you pause, I'm pretty sure you'll find something new. The character animation, on the other hand, could be a little stilted. However, they still shine through thanks to some amazing voice talent, especially with the leads Paul Rudd and Patton Oswalt, who play John and Elliot. Also, a quick shout out to Hannibal Buress, who plays the Nerd King, in my opinion the funniest character in the movie.
Surprisingly, these are the only dead bodies I can scare up at a moment's notice. Take them or leave them. It's no skin off of my rosy red hindquarters.
The likable voice actors aside, pretty much every character in this film is relatively unlikable. However, that was the intention. And to its credit, it does it very okay. None of the characters ever really did anything that was too bad, and sometimes they do show a sense of kindness, even though it is a bit morbid. The thing is, I can get behind morally detestable characters. That's why shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia are so popular. And for the first two acts, I really did enjoy John and Elliot's antics in the pursuit of fame through infamy. It was almost just jarring to see how fast they went from glorified charity to straight up murder. And this is especially relevant today, especially seeing how people are willing to do some very questionable things for fame. John and Elliot are defined by two basic things: their desire to get what they want, and their friendship and devotion to each other. Think of SpongeBob and Patrick, or Dante and Randall from like Clerks, except neither of them are specifically playing a certain archetype. They are both just as dumb and delusional as the other, and they pretty much feed into each other's idiocy. We don't really get anything in terms of backstory for either two, and the little bit we do is relegated to a few side gags. We are dropped into their lives and we see their day-to-day struggles. We see John try to pitch a script idea to a famous actor, only to be humiliated in the process. And we see Elliot try his hardest not to get distracted and actually get some writing down, only to jot down one or two things, then pat himself on the back for a job well done. It's at this point I found myself really relating to these two, especially since I'm an aspiring filmmaker myself. You know, just like everyone else.
We go on a murder spree.
Whoa, what?
A murder spree.
Wait, what did you say?
A killing rampage. We made a pact that we were going to get famous today. Didn't we? Didn't we?
Did we?
And for once in my stupid, miserable, losing life, I'm not waiting until tomorrow. That's what I'd normally do, but not this time. No. This'll put us on all the evening news programs. There'll be books, even movies about our lives. Our names will be household words. Women will talk to us. We'll finally be somebodies.
What are you willing to do to be famous? This question is thrust onto our leads, and we see their struggle to decide where exactly they draw the line for at least the first two acts. Now, this isn't exactly the most original idea for a story. In fact, there are a lot of movies and other things to do this better. Quick shout out to Boogie Nights, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. That's another film that explores the dark side of fame and how the pursuit of that can end up making you more lonely than you were before, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Go check it out if you have the time. It's really, really cool. However, Nerdland does present itself with a sense of humor, and it's pretty much just straight out satire. It's really the third act of the film that drops the ball. It pretty much turns into a witness protection program story where John and Elliot are trying to get away from both the cops and a wanted criminal who is after them. But to its credit, it didn't come out of nowhere. They did set it up early. However, by the time it comes back, the movie really starts to lose steam. And really, I just thought this plot point didn't really add anything to the story or any of the core themes that have been established so far. For the most part, the movie's just an exploration of the dark side of fame and just exactly how far someone's willing to go to achieve recognition. The movie does this by showing how much media exploits and glorifies violence, whether it's through movies or events that are currently happening. The movie even starts out with a red herring showing us a gruesome murder scene before panning out to Elliot just playing a video game. Elliot later tries to get himself to write a screenplay and ends up writing this insane bloody scene where someone goes on a murder rampage. However, it does do this with a sense of humor, and it never really says the violence in media is directly linked to violence in real life. If anything, it straight up ridicules those people who do believe this to be true.
It's perfect. Everyone knows that violent movies and video games are the direct cause of so many of today's societal problems.
This is perfectly shown in what's probably my favorite scene in the movie. Our two leads end up realizing that murder is pretty much the only solution for their pursuit of fame. However, when it comes down to it, they can't bring themselves to actually murder someone. So the solution that they come up with is to completely desensitize themselves by watching a special movie made by the Nerd King. This film is nothing more than a collection of the most violent clips from various fictional films. Now, there are two reasons why I love this part. One, the editing. It is edited amazingly. The way the music and animation syncs up to each other is incredibly well done. Plus, it features some amazing guest artists like Hideyuki Imaishi from Studio Trigger. And the second reason why I love it is because it's a really nice lead up to the scene that precedes it, where they try to kill this nice old lady named Mrs. McCullers. And with those two scenes, it would have rounded up the movie nicely and sort of ended on a great note. Okay, so what exactly do I mean by that? Well, the movie should have ended after the scene where they try to kill Mrs. McCullers. Everything in the movie pretty much led up to this moment. Like I said, the movie is an exaggerated look of how people see violence in the media. John and Elliot thought they can bring themselves to kill someone by completely indulging themselves in extreme amounts of violence, but in the end they couldn't do it. They understood that the fame they wanted wasn't worth taking another person's life. And no matter how much violence they watch, it wasn't going to be the same, and it's not going to make it any more easier to do it in real life. But the movie still has a third act, and you're still stuck for maybe another 15 to 20 minutes. By the third act, they try to flesh out some very minor characters and reintroduce the plot point, but to be frank, the movie was just not as funny by this point, and the minor characters are just not as interesting. Do I think this movie is worth watching? Not really. Okay, if you're an animation fan, then at least watch this once. It's available on Netflix, so it's not that hard to find. But for everyone else, it's not exactly anything new. I mean, I've seen funnier dark comedies, and I've seen other films that tackle the same subject matter much better than this movie. But I do want to see what Chris P and Titmouse are going to do next. Chris P is actually a very good director. I mean, I didn't mention this before, but the scene where Elliot tries to convince John to go on a murder spree is actually really well handled. The way the music builds up with the color choice and the quick cuts gives the scene a really good amount of tension. So I'm actually very confident with whatever Chris P does in the future. As for Titmouse, well, they're always ambitious with whatever they're going to work on, so I'm also looking forward to whatever they make. Oh, well, never mind then. Okay, so thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will make more, I think. Okay, so if you're interested in anything else I do, you can follow me on Twitter or whatever. It's in the description, and check out my Let's Play channel that I host with some of my friends. We play all sorts of cool games like Nier Automata or like Bloodborne or Kingdom Hearts. Other than that, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I would like to see what you guys think if you've seen this movie.